Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks, and somebody sent me this. Looks like a poster, but they want to cut out the woof with a plasma cutter. As always, I'm going to make a duplicate of my original so I have it in case I mess it up. Then I'm going to make it quite a bit smaller. It doesn't matter because you can always make it larger. And then I'm going to crop out some of the stuff we don't need anyway. Make it a little bit easier for Corel. So with it selected, and I mean that because if you don't have it selected, everything on your page will disappear. So just make sure you get all the woof and say crop. Normally I turn it to a grayscale, but there's so light of distinguishing between the colors up here. We're going to leave it as it is. And this thing is like less than 5, so we're going to set our nudge factor like on 6. We're going to grab it. We're going to outline, trace, clip art, just like it is. I'm not going to convert it to a bitmap. It's going to take just a little bit of time. Almost done. It always goes faster right at the end. It's at 29, 32%. But anyway, the reason I left it a color just make it easier, because if you tried it with grayscale, the color differential up there in this bad part. So it traced it pretty good. We don't care about all the different shadowing and stuff that you could remove. What we care about is the black part of the wolf. So we're going to go to object and group and ungroup it. And then we're going to get just the black. And you see down here is black, and we're just going to nudge it up. There's our working model. Pretty rough around his nose. But first, let's correct these feet. We definitely probably don't want them in. This is like a shadow, but one of them's going the wrong direction. So with your shape tool, grab all these nodes up till not the last two and hit delete. Take these two nodes, right-click your mouse and turn them into a line. Grab all these nodes except for the last two and hit delete. You can select that one, hold the shift key and select that one, right-click and turn it into a line. We can always smooth it out later. I just did a video with the smoothing tool. We'll just, wow, that quick. I'm a little bit too close. Let me back up here. I made my, let's go 0.25, make my nib a little smaller so it won't interfere with some other parts of the dog or the wolf. Then at this time you can go ahead and clean up those circles. This is going to be a pretty cool plasma cutting. Shape tool, delete all those. I don't know how many times I've done that. Right click, turn it into a line. And if you don't have X7 or above to use the smoothing tool, one, you need to upgrade. That's probably the neatest thing they ever did, but you can just delete those. We'll go ahead and do that last one. Grab your shape tool, delete all these nodes. Grab these two, right click, turn them into a line. Go back and straighten that up. And this is one of the things you could do. You know, one, you could delete that node. And two, you could move this up a little bit. You could bring this one down a little bit. And remember, we turned them into a line, so you could right click and turn them into a curve. And then you'll have handles on your bottom of his paw. Now up here where I said it was going to do it, we got a bunch of jagged edges. Smoothing tool, set on pretty low and just start smoothing out those jagged edges to a point, and then maybe get your shape tool and delete these two nodes, these three nodes. That simple, that quick. Go through and do his head with the smoothing tool. You don't want to take away too much thickness, but it seemed like it's not even taking away thickness, it's taking away the bad part. Now, we've got a couple little circles in our drawing in the center. Instead of trying to smooth them out, you could always take the shape tool. Let's zoom in here and get this one out. and just select those two and hit delete. The circle's gone. Let's do one more of that other hole. Instead of trying to correct it, just delete it. You know, the jaggedness inside, well, not really there, but right in there where his mouth is might be a tooth, so be a little wary of that. Places like this, instead of trying to smooth it, take the shape tool and just delete these two nodes. Select those two, right click, turn them into a line. What the line does, it's the shortest distance between 2 points is what it's doing. Take your shape tool again. And when you get closer and closer, you're gonna wanna make your nib smaller. Like right there, that's, if you tried to smooth that, you might mess some things up. So just delete those nodes, take those two, right click, turn them into a line. Then you can get your shape tool back or your smoothing tool back, set it on like maybe 0.1 now and see how much smaller my nib is. That way, anything in that circle is gonna get changed. If it's out of that circle, you're okay. This is actually called a tribal clip art type deal. I've done a lot of tribal work. Plasma cut's really good. We've got one more spot right here that you could smooth out. But see, you're kind of, yeah, it just maybe takes a little bit longer. The smoothing tool is by far the best tool Corel has ever, in the last, couple of years, couple of versions. I mean, it's incredible the amount of work it saves. And then, as always, let's take a yellow box trick just to make sure that we don't have any white in there. Yellow box, object, order, back a page, and that's it. So we're good to go. And then just like in the previous video, after you've got it all cleaned up, left click no fill, right click hairline, make sure it's a hairline. And then always in any, laser is not that big a deal, but plasma cutting, if you have something off your table, so hit F4, and if only your graphic comes up, then everything else is gone. And then, like I said, he's gonna plasma cutter this, so let's change the table size to 48 by 48 and make this as big or little as you like it. Whenever you're working on something little and you make it bigger, you're better off because of the fact that these spaces are gonna be, quite larger, between, and that's one thing you need to really watch for plasma cutting. And then you can always go back. Of course, I would have done a lot more work on it, just delete some nodes. You can go through here and just select a bunch of nodes and it'll delete a bunch of nodes and make things smoother, without. One other thing we could do, there is quite a few nodes. There's 2,387 nodes. Let's select all the nodes and go right here and go to about 20. We went to 691 nodes. A lot of the smoothing was already gone, but a lot of those nodes are now more pronounced because it can't delete stuff you don't, tell it not to delete. You've got to tell it what to delete. Let's just do a few more and see how many nodes we can get it down to. Plasma cutting is really cool, but nodes kill it because of the fact that it sharp turns, and I'm not doing a bang up job, but at just that little bit of time, grab your shape tool. Now we're down to 640 nodes. I bet you could get this thing down to 400 nodes and be a lot better off. And the little places like that, you don't need. So just, it's always easier to grab them with the shape tool and just select them. You don't need those little cutout. Anyway, then fill it in with black. to see what it's going to look like. So anything in black is going to be the metal. It actually looks like a set of eyes looking at you. And then straight, you know, that one hoof is a little thicker than the other hoof. You know, just bring it in a little bit. Now you're changing your lines, but that doesn't matter because we're not going to use that line right now anyway. And you could actually click on that and delete it. And then you can take this one and left click, right click, and there you have a new outline. Just make sure you don't have double. Anyway, I hope that helped. Thank you for watching.